Now, this is going to be the salt zone. We're going to, in one section, get all the salt out, and then the rest of the show, we're aiming to be salt-free. I cannot do 2-hour show of just wall-to-wall salt. So let's get it all out, and then move on so that we can be sort of more neutral news and good news, because I think people need that right now, especially with what's going on right now. All right, right off the bat, I want to start off with, even if the Planet Tech does get made wonderful after the bugs are gone, I think we need to discuss as a community that there's an opportunity cost here of resetting the universe. Elite Commanders had just discovered close to 1% of the galaxy over the last 7 years. And if we keep resetting the galaxy, we sort of never make any real progress. Now, yes, it's still gonna say that, we've mapped X% of the galaxy. So we're still gonna have that sort of next to 1% listed on paper or in the system, but I don't really think so, because if the planets have all been completely re-rolled, it might be that a planet that was already previously listed as discovered and mapped and whatever is now a completely different thing. And maybe something that was wonderful is now dog shit, and maybe something that was dog shit is now wonderful, but we won't know unless somebody goes back and re-maps that whole thing. So I salute the idea of upgrading planets, and definitely, as Dr. K said, sort of making them future-proof, making them sort of robust enough that they can go on into the future. I like that. But should we take a second to really think about this has cost us something. We've lost a certain amount of knowledge of the universe, even if this all plays out perfectly, which is at the moment far from a far-gone conclusion. Juki, hop in.
Okay, cool. Well, I think there is a certain amount of truth to the idea that what was there before is not just going to work when you're out on foot, right? So what's there now looks pretty cool in many cases when you're out of the ship and you're on foot. But it really kind of sucks to me that a lot of the flight mechanics have been neglected from that. Everything seems much flatter now. And yeah, I'm going to entirely channel Black Maze and talk about, it sucks that all of our shiny, awesome Horizons planets have gone. But it really does feel like, from everything that I've seen, everything is much more homogeneous now and much more boring from the cockpit perspective. It's pretty damn cool looking in many places, when you're on foot. But from the cockpit, it's more of, once you've seen one, you've seen them all, but worse.
Gotcha. So next up, we've got no VR announcement, and basically a plan to go around saying no to everything while not allowing yourself to say yes to anything just yet. I feel like this is a bad plan. I don't think that it's smart that they said, hey, we're going to wait a month to tell you yes to anything. I think they should have done it. They said they were going to do a roadmap. They should have done it then. They should have said yes to a couple things right then to have some wins on the book, because they need to reassure people. People are not happy. And if you're not going to do that, if for some reason you need to stick to some stupid, arbitrary, we're not going to say yes to anything for a month for, I don't know, reasons that secrecy reasons that you have that no one else understands, at the very least, have the common sense to shut the hell up and don't go around saying, no, and then look around going, isn't everybody happy? We're super honest. No, that's a bad plan. You took a dumpster fire and poured jet fuel on it. I don't understand in any way where a competent person at PR would say, this is a good idea. No. Aron.
Yeah, I just wanted to, we had a good conversation about this recently, but it baffles me the lack of emotional intelligence that you have to have as a community manager to see the kind of trouble your business is in, to see the kind of absolute disaster that you've caused with the release of a game that's just totally unfinished, and then go to the community and field their questions, legitimate questions, not only about what's wrong with the game, but also, hey, why haven't you added this or this, and instead, and in a bid to be honest, instead of being, honest in a way that's, constructive, you're being honest in a destructive way, and you're just a dumbass for doing it, because nobody wants to hear every single sentence that you're saying be bad news, because we've already got enough of that. So either, like you said, Tell people, I've got it. I know what you're asking for. I'm going to bring that to the developers. I'm going to bring that to the management, and I'll advocate for you as the community. Or shut the hell up. Don't say anything. Let it lie and deal with it, and tell them that you're going to fix what you've released already. And once you've fixed your shit, then you're going to move on to the things people are asking for.
I mean, there's definitely a point where when someone says, hey, does this make me look fat? You could tell the truth, or you could be smart and shut the fuck up. Tweet.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. No ship interiors, no crossplay, and now no VR. I really don't know what other segment of their fan base they can step on next. Quite honestly, that feels like the trifecta to me. Those are the three biggest wants that the community has had forever. Yeah, it's great being honest, but like you said, if you're going to give us no's to the biggest desires, the biggest wants we have as a community, you should probably come with some good news. And if you're going to have this big quote-unquote roadmap, design of the future kind of conversation at the end of the month or the beginning of July, if you're going to have it then my bet is you probably already know what you're going to say. So why save it? Why hold it back? This is what got us into this problem in the first place, is being super secret squirrely and holding it close to the vest like this. You're building up expectations by not telling me what you were going to give us. Now I'm thinking, when you come out in July, I want to hear what you're going to do for the next year. I don't want to hear, here's a new SRV and a new ship you're going to get in 6 months. That won't be enough, and I fear that's what we're going to get.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't be honest. I'm not saying don't give the hard answers. But I'm saying if you can't give any good news, then don't run your mouth nonstop with nothing but bad news. Juki.
So if you're going to actually try and be honest with people, be honest with the real actual news, because the way that it's kind of being shown to people is that, what most people are asking for is just to disable that stupid floating screen view on foot. That's all most people are asking for. Like, okay, you can get into the problems of, doing room scale and hand tracked and all that kind of rubbish. But all that most people want is to be able to look up at the stars and go, this is really cool. That's all that people are asking for. Now, if there are technical hurdles towards that, let's talk about them, because there's a couple of them, but for the most part, I really genuinely as a developer can't see why you wouldn't allow that, even as like a config tweak, not even a button in the options menu. And that's what most people on the forums at least are really asking for, just the simple ability to turn off that floating screen.
Absolutely. All right, so the next point is patch 5 got pushed to the first week of July. Now, here's the thing. They've said repeatedly, hey, we're going to give you information on a dev stream and what's going on with console release and what's going to happen with features and yada, yada, yada. We're going to give you good news, but they've said it tied to two key factors. The one key factor that they've said repeatedly is the end of the month of June. But the other key factor that they've said repeatedly is after patch 5. I'm just asking, does this mean, and this is a thing that to me, when they announced we're pushing patch 5 to July instead of June, does this now mean all the good news is not coming until July? Or is it still coming in June? These are things that I think a competent billion-dollar company would say up front. Anybody got anything on that? I think that says it all. All right, we'll move to the next point, which is the community reaction. The Exodus is picking up steam. Guys, if you look, tell me who your favorite content creators are in Elite. How many of them that were previously only Elite content creators are now community streamers or variety streamers? Look at people that have been strongly sort of in favor of Elite for the long term, like Obsidian Ant and sort of other creators that are now... Obsidian Ant's made like 3 videos in a row straight up calling Frontier out. It's very, very plain to see. You've got, Loose Screws, a podcast that has been super sort of supportive of Frontier. 2, at least, of the main people have literally already publicly stated, either on the show or in their Discord, that they've asked Frontier for a refund of Odyssey. They don't want it anymore. And Frontier said, no, you can't have it. Like when you see that, when you look at the numbers of people that are saying, I'm moving to Star Citizen, I'm moving to No Man's Sky, I'm moving to this, I'm moving to that, I'm going to do single player games. Like, Lave Radio has been, a bloodbath lately. Guard Frequency has been highly critical of the rollout. We have called out a lot of the problem. The pilot just quit altogether, said, I'm out. A lot of people have, look at even people that are very, very supportive. Like I said, look at your Down to Earth Astronomies and whatnot, who has been doing a lot of content in other games lately. So Down to Earth Astronomy just started a corp in Star Citizen, and I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just pointing out that if I were Frontier, if I were a community manager at Frontier, and I was seeing this level of exodus in my hardcore community, I would be very worried. Roy.
It's like stocks. And what I mean by that is people aren't going to put all their eggs in one basket if the thing doesn't look good anymore. They're going to diversify. For some of the people you just mentioned, they're getting an income from this. And it's sort of silly to go down with the ship. They're going to consistently evaluate what works best for them, and they're not beholden to Elite. Why would they be? Right? So they're just doing what they got to do.
And Aaron.
Yeah, so I mean, I have seen the same kind of trend as you're talking about with people switching their content over. And I think the biggest reason for that is just the misguided focus of development. And I'm not even just talking about the release. I'm even talking about the updates 1 through 4 that we've had right now. And you can kind of see when you read the patch notes and when you look at what's actually being fixed in the game versus what's not, that there is so much manpower being put onto tasks that don't actually enable people to play the game, right? I mean, some guy had to be sitting there for hundreds, if not thousands of hours redesigning the user interface for outfitting, for the galaxy map, for system map. And I mean, maybe you can find 1 or 2 things that are nice about the new way of doing it, but by and large, it's all worse than it was before. So you just look at how much time is being wasted on things that either are detrimental or at least neutral to the actual playability of the game. And I think that's where a lot of these issues are coming from, is like I have problems just not getting fatal errors playing with friends, trying to ride in the same ship together or do a mission on a surface. And that's not even going to the exploration stuff. And so I think if they don't focus on these game-breaking issues and make it playable, there really isn't any other option for people.
All right, and Tweak to close out this one.
Yeah, if I were FDev, I'd be totally in panic mode seeing all this. I mean, Obsidian Ant was putting out nothing but pro elite videos for years, forever. And now he's doing nothing but pretty much Microsoft Flight Simulator and other things. And like you said, he called out FDev pretty much blatantly in his last few videos. I'm even seeing this on a smaller level. Many Discords now, including OPIX, my own, are now, instead of just being an elite dangerous squadron, we've made it a gaming community where we've got all kinds of other games because people are leaving Elite Dangerous and we don't want to lose the community. Therefore, we can still play games and communicate through the Discord with these other games and everything. So people are reading the tea leaves, so to speak, and FDev has given nobody any confidence that they're going to turn this around.
Yep. So moving on to the next thing, which is Frontier stock. Frontier stock is not rebounding. It's at $23.45 a share. It's down still a third of what it was, April 29th, before they started on this process of announcing that they were going to release after half of an alpha and no beta and 2 weeks of time. Rogue Trader, and we'll have it in the show notes, put out a stock analysis update on Elite Dangerous, and it literally just said Elite Dangerous is on Frontier rather, and it says Elite Dangerous is broken, and he talks about that he strongly suspects that Elite Dangerous, Frontier is going to, by a large margin, miss their stock, forecast for 2020, 2022. Yeah. They're probably going to have a really strong 2023, 2024 because of Formula One and Warhammer, but they've lost a massive sort of chunk. And he called out flat out that it's like he did this video where he pulled up and he's like, here's the reviews, here's this, here's that. I don't think Elite's going to get fixed for some time, which was like, ouch. Juki.
Honestly, it feels like the public floating of the company and, you know, various share buyouts from Tencent and things like that have a lot to do with this from the outside perspective. Because, I mean, if you look at the Glassdoor reviews, it feels like from 2017, 2018 onwards, a lot of the Glassdoor reviews are all about how a lot of things are being outsourced, how there's quite a lot of cost cutting, and a lot of the artists and the real engineers on the project are hurting from it, and they're spending a lot of time kind of manually dealing with all of the contractors, and that's honestly not a great sign.
Roy.
The theory has been floated by us and many others that the reason that Odyssey was pushed out on the day it was they had to fit something into the fiscal year to keep shareholders happy. And the tragedy is that apparently that didn't work either. If this is where the stock has gone, people are selling their stock. They're losing confidence in it. And, you have to ask yourself, how much worse would it have been? Would it have been better if they'd held on to this longer, or called it a beta, or did all the things that people have suggested? And, what would the shareholders have thought of that? Would it have been worse than the massive drop that they have? I don't know. But I could see this whole story becoming a case study in business school sometime in the future, because it's an interesting choice they took.
Well, that's everything that I had for the salt section of the show. Roy, I know you had one other piece that you wanted to go. Then we'll go around the horn and ask if anybody has anything. Then we'll close it out and move on in a non-salt for the rest of the show. Go, Roy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking on the Discord with people about this, but just so everybody else knows, I've been taking a break from playing Elite until the fixes for planetary tech are in. I'm 3 weeks into it. Haven't touched the game except to shut down some modules on my fleet carrier. I gave my latest expedition, I think, a good go right after the Odyssey launch. I got 22,000 light years out, and I was doing my best to scan biologicals, and I did get some first discoveries in the Codex, and that was cool. But then I just started seeing a trend of more and more and more, I call them oatmeal planets. And honestly, the thing that was really getting to me was the lack of integration of, when you're searching for biologicals, the lack of integration of targeting data across ship, SRV, foot environments. The heat map blacks out when you go below supercruise, and nothing's carried over in terms of data. There's no equivalent tools for biologicals in your SRV. Like, that just, for me, made it not fun. And I'm using this time to check out some other games.
Right on. So, Juki, you've got one more thing to close out the salt section, then we'll move on.
Yeah, I just want to say on the VR stuff, because it's really kind of irritating me. I understand that like, right now, Fdev is probably having a serious problem with the amount of noise that is being generated by the Odyssey launch. But they're also probably in like serious damage control. Now, when you're trying to prioritize what things need fixing, what works, what doesn't, and so on and so forth, usually what you're doing is you're figuring out on a ratio of impact to effort what things you should do. And it feels like they're only looking at impact. They're going like, okay, well, VR users are only like 3% or whatever the number is right now. But guys, come on, you need some really, really basic goodwill from the community right now. And adding the ability to just turn off that godforsaken 2D screen in VR would go so far into making everybody happy. And it really is a small amount of work, unless it's the kind of work where a guy called Steve, who used to work here 3 years ago, is the only guy who knows the VR code, and we don't touch it anymore, so we just render it to a giant screen.
That's
and
rough.
if that's the case, then that's really sad,
Yeah, that's rough.